Somewhere right now, there's an AI expert staring blankly at a monitor, wondering how his entire infrastructure, and maybe even his career, disappeared faster than a pizza at a developer conference.
Oh, you mean the guy who gave Claude a prompt to solve a problem and accidentally wiped out his entire company database in 9 seconds?
Yeah, and that's the thing about these new AI coworker tools. They're incredibly impressive.
Right up until they prove how truly dangerous they can be.
And that's exactly what we're diving into this week. If you don't want to become that guy, stay tuned.
Welcome to Trivera's AI Deep Dive podcast, hosted by Chip and Nova, our AI co-hosts. Together, they transform top marketing insights from our blogs, articles, and events into actionable strategies you can use. Ready to dive in? Let's get started.
Welcome to today's Trivera Deep Dive. I'm Nova.
And I'm Chip.
Today, we're exploring a really fascinating and, honestly, somewhat alarming dynamic in the tech world. We're looking at some brand new insight from our founder, Tom Snyder.
Right, the founder of Trivera.
And Team Trivera has been navigating digital transformations for 3 decades now. So his recent blog focuses on the newly released features for an AI called Claude, specifically its Cowork and Code capabilities.
Which he essentially labels the world's most dangerous new AI tool.
He does. And he frames this with this brilliant analogy that goes back to the early days of the web. Like 30 years ago, when Team Trivera was just getting off the ground, Tom would be up late at night writing code and building websites.
With the TV on in the background, right?
Yeah, playing in the background was always David Letterman. And Tom draws this direct connection between these new AI tools and Paul Schaefer's World's Most Dangerous Band on The Letterman Show.
The running joke being that the band was incredibly loud, absurdly talented, and just capable of creating total chaos at any given moment.
Right. In the right hands, with the musical genius of Paul Schaefer steering the ship and providing the structure, the band created absolute magic. But if you just let them play whatever they wanted, whenever they wanted, without any direction...
You'd clear out the theater.
Exactly, Chip. You'd clear the place out. Tom argues that watching Claude's new capabilities in action brought that exact phrase rushing back to him. These tools aren't dangerous because they are malicious. They are dangerous because they are insanely powerful.
And to really understand this, Nova, we have to look at it through a practical business lens.
Yeah.
Our team has evaluated every single technology wave over the last 30 years.
Right, the early commercial web, search engines, all of it.
Mobile optimization, content management systems, social media. The central question for our team always has to be, what creates actual sustainable value and what is just a dangerous, shiny object?
Well, I have a question about that, Chip, because I remember a year ago when generative AI really hit the mainstream, people were saying the exact same thing about simple text generators.
Oh, definitely. This is going to change everything.
Right. So is this new iteration of Claude actually fundamentally different from the chatbots we've been using? Or is this just, the next cycle of standard tech hype?
No, it is a fundamental shift in architecture and capability. Up until very recently, we were just dealing with text generators.
It's like you give it a prompt and it spits out a paragraph.
Exactly. Or a list of ideas or a recipe. It was conversational. But Claude's new Cowork and Code features push the AI into the realm of an operational coworker.
Which means what exactly?
It isn't just generating text anymore. It has the ability to analyze complex, multi-layered files. It can actually structure entire business workflows. It can read, write, and execute complex code.
Wow.
Yeah, it's moving from simply answering your questions to actually assisting with operational execution.
Which, sounds incredible on paper. If I'm a small business owner, the idea of having an operational coworker that works at the speed of light and doesn't ask for a salary, that is incredibly appealing.
Oh, absolutely. The temptation is huge.
But that brings us to the core warning in Tom's blog, which is the dangerous illusion of completeness. A term that Tom coined after he experienced this firsthand.
Really? What happened?
Well, in an exercise to explore the usefulness of these new tools, he used Claude Code to create one of the deliverables that the new technology boasts as game-changing. Visually, it was stunning. It took 5 minutes to generate something that looked like it took a professional designer weeks to build.
Right. It always looks great at first glance.
Exactly. The moment he looked into the actual structure of what it built, he saw what was, the digital equivalent of a train wreck. It clearly knew how to draw a button, but it had no idea what the button was supposed to do.
And that, Nova, is the perfect illustration of how large language models operate. They are, at their core, incredibly advanced predictive engines.
So they're just guessing what comes next.
Basically, yes. They know what a functioning login screen or a checkout cart looks like in code because they've scanned billions of examples, but they don't possess actual structural or spatial reasoning.
Right, they mimic the surface.
Exactly. And to an inexperienced user, that mimicry is so good that it creates this illusion of a production-ready asset.
It's like letting a charismatic intern build an entire house because they drew a really pretty blueprint.
That is a great way to put it.
It looks great until you lean on a wall and the whole roof collapses. You know, you walk onto a Hollywood movie set, the storefronts look realistic, there are flowers in the window.
But you open the door to the bakery and there's no building, just plywood.
Exactly. And the stakes are much higher than a broken contact form when we start talking about enterprise operations.
Oh, infinitely higher. Tom's blog details some severe risks of this DIY AI development approach. Let's say you use Claude Code to build a web application. It generates that beautiful front end.
Right. The buttons work, animations are smooth.
It seems flawless, but underneath, the architecture is incredibly weak.
Let's break down what weak architecture actually means in this context, Chip. Like, why does it matter if the back end is messy as long as the customer can click the button?
Because of scalability and security. Let's take security first, specifically something like an API key.
Okay, an application programming interface key.
Right. It's essentially a digital master passcode that allows different software systems to talk to each other. It's what connects your website to your payment processor or your customer database.
Pretty important stuff.
Very. So if an inexperienced user asks an AI to build a payment gateway, the AI might write the code perfectly to make the payment work. But because it lacks strategic judgment, it might hard-code your secret API key directly into the client-side public-facing script.
Wait. Meaning anyone who right-clicks on your website and hits view source now has the master passcode to your entire merchant account.
Precisely. You've essentially left the keys to the company vault sitting on a public park bench.
Seriously?
And an inexperienced user is never going to notice that exposed key until their account is compromised, because all they saw was that the payment button successfully turned green.
That is terrifying. And Tom also mentions the breakdown of user experiences, right? Like mobile responsiveness.
Yes, that's another huge one.
The AI might build a site using fixed pixel widths that look spectacular on the developer's massive desktop monitor. But when a real customer opens that same site on a smartphone, the checkout button is hidden off screen.
And they can't even scroll to it.
Right. The AI doesn't inherently understand human ergonomics or thumb swiping behavior unless it's explicitly guided. It just understands CSS properties.
Then you have the invisible infrastructure, like technical SEO. People often think SEO is just, sprinkling the right keywords onto a page.
Which our team knows is definitely not the case.
Exactly. Technical SEO involves the underlying structural map that search engines use to read and index your site. The XML sitemaps, the schema markup, the canonical tags.
And the AI just ignores that.
It often hallucinates these elements or builds chaotic maps because it only really cares about the visual output you asked for.
So it builds a beautiful website that humans can interact with, but Google's web crawlers hit a dead end and completely ignore it.
You basically have a gorgeous billboard hidden in the middle of the desert.
Wow. And even if you avoid the security flaws and the SEO traps, you run into operational bottlenecks.
Oh, for sure.
Like the AI might insist that it built web functionality correctly in a content management system, WordPress or Concrete CMS. And while it appears to technically function, it does so in a way that makes sense to a machine, while being absolutely infuriating for your actual human marketing team to update on a Tuesday afternoon.
Right. The AI can generate automated fixes that solve the one immediate problem you prompted it for, while quietly creating 3 new severe structural problems in the background.
Which actually brings up a really important pivot point. For the last year, the prevailing narrative in the tech world has been that prompting is the only skill of the future.
It's prompt engineering.
Right. Like, you don't need to know how to code or design or strategize. You just need to know how to write a really good prompt. But based on what you're saying about these structural failures, Chip, that seems completely inadequate.
Our team entirely agrees with Tom on this, Nova. One of our blogs and deep dives a while ago showcased the importance of the prompt. And while that was relevant at the time, relying solely on prompting, given this new technology, is the biggest myth in tech right now.
Really? The biggest myth?
Absolutely. Early on, prompting was the primary skill, when we were dealing with text generation. If you need a quick summary of a PDF or brainstorm some subject lines, a good prompt is great.
Sure, for simple stuff.
But thinking that prompting is the only skill you need for advanced, operational AI is a massive trap.
Why is a highly detailed prompt not enough to prevent the AI from hard-coding that API key or messing up the SEO?
Because as these systems move into that operational coworker space, they require much more than an initial set of instructions. They desperately need context, structural oversight, and most importantly, rigid guardrails.
Guardrails are key.
When a tool has the capability to read your files and execute code, its potential for damage scales symmetrically with its potential for productivity. A prompt gives the AI a destination. Guardrails keep it from driving through a crowded sidewalk to get there.
Let's talk about what happens when those guardrails don't exist. You mentioned a story earlier about an AI deleting company data in 9 seconds.
Yeah, this is wild.
Walk me through how something like that actually happens. We assume AI is smart, so why would it do something so obviously destructive?
This is the ultimate cautionary tale that Tom highlighted, and it happened just as he was evaluating Claude's new capabilities.
Okay.
A major tech company used Claude tools to execute a fix for a system problem. They deployed the AI and watched in absolute horror as the tool deleted vital, critical company data in roughly 9 seconds.
9 seconds.
To answer your question of why it did that, we have to separate speed from judgment.
Right. We naturally assume that because a machine processes information in milliseconds, it must also be making optimal reasoning choices also in milliseconds.
But it isn't. The AI doesn't have a sunk cost business fallacy or a sense of self-preservation or an understanding of the financial value of that data.
Just doing math.
Exactly. If the initial problem was a corrupted directory structure, and the most mathematically efficient way to clear the error state was to wipe the directory and start over, the AI will just drop the entire table.
Oh my gosh. It successfully solved the logic puzzle it was assigned. It just destroyed the company's historical data to do it.
It has no concept of collateral damage. Unlike human mistakes, like a poorly coded database or a bad marketing strategy, which might take weeks or months to finally reveal themselves, AI can create enterprise-level destruction almost instantaneously.
The speed is actually the hazard.
Which is why governance, architecture, and experienced oversight are becoming more important, not less. The barrier to execution has dropped to zero, which means the volume of execution is skyrocketing.
And looking at Trivera's 3 decades of digital history, we've actually lived through this specific dynamic before, haven't we?
We really have.
The promise that technology has finally become so simple that experts are obsolete.
We see this cycle repeat like clockwork, Nova. We saw this exact same promise of total simplicity with the early DIY website builders in the late 90s and early 2000s.
Oh yeah, suddenly anyone could drag and drop a website together.
Right. We saw it with early SEO automation tools that promised to rank you on page 1 of Google overnight. We saw it with cheap, template-based CMS platforms and automated social media scheduling tools.
I remember the early days of social media automation. Everyone thought they could just load up 6 months of generic content into a scheduler, put their marketing on autopilot, and basically fire their community managers.
And what was the result every single time? The technology just flooded the market with noise.
Millions of terrible drag-and-drop websites.
Millions of spammy automated social media posts. And because the barrier to entry dropped so low, it actually ended up rewarding the experienced operators even more.
Because they stood out from the junk.
Exactly. The people who actually understood brand strategy, who understood nuanced customer behavior, and who understood the long-term implications of their digital architecture were the ones who succeeded.
Because when everyone has access to a tool that can instantly generate a house, the only people making money are the ones who know how to build a house that doesn't collapse when the wind blows.
That's spot on.
The underlying rule of business hasn't changed. The only difference this time around is the sheer, uncompromising speed of the AI execution.
That is exactly the takeaway.
Well, we are going to take a really quick break, but when we come back, we're going to reveal exactly where Claude's Cowork features actually shine for your business and why human expertise is about to become your most valuable asset. Wow, Chip, we're already into Q2. How did that happen?
Right, Nova. And if Q1 taught us anything, it's that things aren't slowing down. AI, search shifts, content demands, analytics, it's a lot to keep up with.
That's exactly why companies trust Trivera. We don't just react to change, we help our clients stay ahead of it. Strong fundamentals, smart strategy, and the right tech all working together to drive measurable growth, not just activity.
In a world full of noise, it's not about chasing traffic anymore. What matters is results you can see, track, and build on quarter after quarter. It's about building a digital presence that actually performs.
So if Q1 didn't deliver what you expected,
Q2 is your chance to reset and get it right. Visit Trivera.com and start building a strategy that drives real results.
Trivera, 30 years of digital marketing that moves the needle.
Welcome back to Trivera's AI Deep Dive. Now back to our conversation with Chip and Nova.
Welcome back to the Deep Dive. So we've spent a lot of time looking at the chaotic nature of Claude's new AI tools and comparing them to Paul Schaefer's World's Most Dangerous Band.
Yeah, the very real dangers of letting an unguided AI build your back-end architecture.
Right. But Tom's blog makes a very deliberate point here. Diving into this evaluation process actually increased our appreciation for what this technology can do when it's applied correctly.
Okay, let's pivot to the positive side of the equation then. If it is a massive liability as an unsupervised developer, where is Claude's Cowork feature actually shining right now?
While here at Trivera, we have already begun to use the power of these tools to create some amazing new things for our clients. Ironically, the most significant immediate value isn't found in our clients and other businesses building their own public-facing applications. For them, it's actually internal applications.
Internal stuff, okay.
This is where AI acting as an operational coworker becomes incredibly interesting and creates massive productivity gains.
Give me a concrete example of that, Chip. Where does it fit into a daily workflow?
Think about the massive administrative and analytical burden most businesses carry. Let's say you have a messy, hour-long client meeting.
We've all been there.
Right. There are 4 different people talking, tangent conversations, complex technical requirements being thrown around. Claude Cowork is phenomenal at taking that raw transcript, instantly summarizing it, and pulling out a highly structured list of actionable items assigned to specific team members.
Oh, wow. That alone saves a project manager hours of synthesis.
Exactly. It's also incredibly powerful at organizing vast amounts of internal documentation.
Like SOPs.
Yes. Developing standard operating procedures is traditionally a grueling, tedious task. But Claude can synthesize your existing documents and draft those processes rapidly.
That's huge.
Or if you have dense spreadsheets containing thousands of rows of customer feedback, Claude can analyze that data and pull out behavioral trends that might take a human analyst days to spot. It acts as an incredibly powerful engine for managing information overload.
I hear that, Chip, and it sounds amazing for productivity. But I have to push back a little here.
Sure, go ahead.
If the AI is so good at analyzing a spreadsheet of customer feedback, and it can structure the SOPs, and it can summarize the action items, why shouldn't I just let it run the brainstorming meetings?
The autonomy question.
Yeah. Like, if it has all the data, where is the line between being hyper-efficient and being completely autonomous?
That is the multi-million-dollar question every executive is asking right now. And the answer is that the line cannot be crossed.
Yeah.
We have to completely shut down the idea of total AI autonomy in business strategy.
But why?
Because, as Tom emphasizes, efficiency does not equal autonomy.
But if it can process 1 million data points in a second, doesn't it technically know more than I do?
It processes more data, but Nova, data is not context. AI does not understand your business.
Right.
It does not know that your best, highest-paying client prefers a highly informal conversational communication style, while another client requires strict formality.
It doesn't know the human element.
It doesn't know that your supply chain has a weird, undocumented quirk on Tuesday afternoons because the specific vendor is always late. It doesn't understand your brand voice, your company culture, or your long-term strategic vision.
It just knows what the average of its training data looks like.
Precisely. It knows the statistics, but it doesn't know the room. And that brings us to a concept Tom introduces in the blog, which I think is the most valuable paradigm shift for leaders right now. He calls it artificial intuition.
Artificial intuition. Okay, how does that differ from artificial intelligence?
Intelligence is the raw processing power, the ability to read the spreadsheet or write the code. Intuition is the human element.
So combining them.
Yes. The goal here isn't to replace human judgment with machine intelligence. The goal is to train the AI to work with your specific context, your direction, your values, and your guardrails. You are imparting your hard-earned human intuition onto the machine's processing power.
So the businesses getting the most value out of AI aren't trying to replace their experts. They are using AI to accelerate their expertise.
That is exactly it.
It's like the difference between trying to replace an airline pilot with an automated script versus giving a master pilot the most advanced navigation system ever created.
Great analogy.
The human is still flying the plane, relying on their intuition and experience, but they can fly it faster, safer, and through much heavier storms because of the technology.
That is the perfect way to look at it, Nova. Which brings us to the actionable advice for you as you try to navigate this landscape. Based on our team's history of watching these technological shifts, what should businesses do today?
Right. What's the first step?
First, you absolutely must explore tools like Claude Cowork. Ignoring AI because it's dangerous is not a realistic strategy for survival.
You can't just put your head in the sand.
Exactly. You have to understand the tools. But you cannot confuse early experimentation with enterprise mastery.
Just because you got a neat result on a Sunday afternoon project doesn't mean you should plug it into your company's live database on Monday morning.
Exactly. The smartest path forward is to start by improving your internal workflows first. Keep the blast radius small. Maintain experienced human oversight at every single step of the process.
Validate the outputs carefully.
Meticulously. And integrate AI into structured, existing processes, rather than letting it loose to invent its own architecture.
So do not view these tools as replacements for the talented people who are already helping you succeed. That includes your internal marketing teams, your developers, your technical specialists.
And trusted agency partners.
Right. The real long-term value of AI is not in eliminating experienced humans. It's in making those experienced humans infinitely more capable.
And Nova, that is exactly where Team Trivera comes in. If you're realizing that you need to navigate this new AI landscape safely and strategically, you don't have to figure it out alone.
Not at all.
You can put our 30 years of digital marketing and web development expertise to use for your own operations and digital presence. We can ensure you get the absolute most out of AI without falling into the dangerous DIY traps we've unpacked today.
Well, if you found today's deep dive helpful, the original blog by Tom Snyder is linked right there in the show notes for you to explore.
Highly recommend reading it.
And remember, the Trivera Deep Dive podcast is available on iHeart, Spotify, Apple, and all major platforms. So please download, subscribe, and share this episode with anyone who needs to hear it. Thank you so much for listening.
And we will catch you on the next Trivera Deep Dive.
Thanks for joining us on Trivera's AI Deep Dive with Chip and Nova. If you enjoyed this episode, you can find more and stay up to date with new episodes wherever you listen to podcasts, or find them on our website and our social media channels. And don't forget to visit us at Trivera.com to learn how we can help take your marketing to the next level. Ready to talk? Reach out. We'd love to hear from you. See you next time.